And we are back again. So in today's session, we are going to look at the fourth lab program, all right, which says you are supposed to design an application to do what? Set an image as a wallpaper. Now we don't know how many number of images, so it's up to you to decide. So on the click of a button, the wallpaper should start changing randomly, and this should happen every 30 seconds. So you see here the UI is pretty easy. Just start, do something, okay, and you have a simple text view and you have a button. Okay, so if you remember vividly, the end product is going to look like this, and we have actually seen that in the class. So you start with this. Once you click on this and go and click on this little button, okay, then you're going to minimize it and wait. Every 30 seconds this changes. All right, now what you are seeing on the screen is what we did in the class, right? And that actually we tried using the random class. Okay, fine. So in that we did that program, and it was just randomly going through, cycling through the images. And we observed that there were 7 images, but it only chose 4. So that means the other 3 weren't there. Now, okay, I need to digress a little bit. See, I wanted to combine both videos into one tutorial, but if only you commit to watching an hour-long video. Already you've started complaining, no, the videos are too lengthy, why don't you make it short? So because of that, fine, I will focus on the second part. So if you still have any doubts, fine, feel free to reach out, but I will link both of them in the description. Okay, so don't forget to head to the description section and you just tell me how you find it. Okay, so do you think maybe I should have included both of them in the tutorial? It could have made sense. No problem. So let's just run both and then we start building it together. Are you ready? Let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to fire up my emulator. I think this should be the first one, which we call Wallpaper, and that was the output you are seeing there. And basically, before we get to looking at the code, let's just run this once again. Okay, so you observe here it says, maybe I will hide this and then leave you with the design view. Sorry, the code view. So you're going to see this, okay, and once I click on change wallpaper, I will minimize this and let's see what happens. Okay, now the next one. So to make this happen faster, I actually made it just to change in 3 seconds, not 30 seconds. Okay, fine. Okay, now if you are taking count of this, I hope you are doing that. So you notice that we are not actually cycling through all the words, the images. So just to be sure that we are doing this in the right thing, so let me pause this and I'm going to show you something here. Okay, so I dim it fits fine. Okay, I pause that now. Let's open the resources folder where we have the images. So how many images can you see? 7 of them, right? So why don't we open them 1 side by side, 2, okay, 3, okay. Are you able to see that? Okay, so I will just do this as this continues to cycle. Okay, maybe I don't know where it will start actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so the 7 images are opened here. Fine. So I'm going to fire up my emulator once again and let's see what happens. Okay, now I will click on this. Okay, now you are supposed to tell me, is it going to start from the first image or the second one? Even I don't know, right? I don't have the answer. So it is there. So that is this one. So the next one has cropped up. I don't even know. Okay, that's that one. So this one, that's 3. And then it's gone back to this. That's 4. And then you see it went back to this one. You see? So, and it has repeated it twice. Okay, let's see. Again, it went back to something. This floral stuff we have not seen. Okay. So you see, you go back, I think, no. Yeah, it's gone back to the heart. It's in love with the heart. Okay, so it's gone back to the heart. Let's see what's going to be displayed next. Okay, so it's gone back to that beautiful thing and it's gone back to the floral thing. So this, you can see, we have not actually seen this. Okay, I mean, we saw this only once, and this we have seen. This, I'm not sure if we have seen this one, like what I'm showing you on the screen now. I'm not sure. Now the floral part is being displayed. Okay, so you see the probability of, displaying these images, is not certain. So you cannot actually tell. All right. So I pause this for now. I pause it. Now I run another version of the same program. Okay. So for that is also here. I will do one thing. I minimize this, and that is called lab 4 playground, something like that. Now, similar approach I'm going to follow. Go to resources, come to drawables, and then open all the images. 1, 2. Okay, so since this is in the sequence, it has to start from the first one. Okay, guys, so I'm going to fire up the emulator now. It has to start from this first one. Now it says here, click here. So let me zoom this out a little bit. So click here to change wallpaper. I tuck it. Okay, now you have to go back here, and then, oh, which one did you call off? Oh, no. Okay, it should actually start from the first one. Okay, this was from the previous state. So let me stop this, continue completely, close this guy. Okay, and then go to my emulator. I hope it's not running. It will be on. I mean, under my device manager. Okay, now I think I told you guys this thing before, right? That you see it's taking lots of space, so I need to do this. Just click on wipe data. Okay, so I wipe data. Now it's come to 2.3 GB. I can actually do this again. Wipe data. Really want to wipe, no problem. So 2.3. Okay, now I'm going to run this again. Okay, now remember the intention here is I need to see this one load first. Okay, now that depends on where the pointer was pointing at in the last class, I mean in the previous runtime. So that was the essence why I wiped this data, and I just hope it should start from the first one. Okay, so this should be the first one, and it should be done. All right, so let's wait for it. It's almost done. Okay, now it started, and voila, there you go. Okay, all right, so click on that, minimize. Okay, and wait for it. Okay, there is a little delay here of like 5 seconds. Okay, so after 5 seconds this will start cycling through the entire thing. So it should start. 5 seconds over. What are you waiting for? Okay, I don't know what is happening today. Okay, I think the guy is angry. He's like, why are you just bothering me so much? Okay, all right, so it started. So you got it, right? So the first one is there, so it should go to the next one, which is this. So next one, so go to the third one. Third, fine. Move to the fourth one. Fourth, go to the fifth image. 5, go to the sixth image. 6, and go to the seventh image. 7. Hope you got this stuff now. So what's the difference? So, and after this now, it has to get back to the first one. Fine. Okay, so this is what I wanted us to do in this tutorial. Okay, we should be able to cycle through this stuff. All right, now you got the idea, right? What we did in the class. Okay, it was actually what was asked. That was what was asked here, because it says on the click of a button the wallpaper should start to change randomly. It didn't tell us in the sequence, but you have noticed that it might even sample some images more than the other. So to ensure that all the images are equally sampled, we have to implement a different we have to follow a different approach, and that's what we are going to do now. Okay, I hope that is clear. All right, so let's start from the beginning and we will do this together. Are you there? Let's do this. So I hope you can still see my screen. So what we do is we will start the project afresh, but before that we need images, right? So I'm going to show you what we'll do now, and as you see, most of these images, they are beautiful, right? In high D. What do you call it? They are high definition images. So what worked best for me was I actually went to this place. Okay, and what I did was I just said Android, see there, Android wallpaper 2D. Okay, so I saw this Android wallpaper in high definition, whatever. Okay, so this was what I found, right? And you have to be very careful when you are choosing the image extension. So we have seen it in the class that yes, it supports PNG and JPG, right? So TIF, we didn't come across that, but we came across TFIF or something like that. So when you are downloading, ensure that it's actually what is there. So if you click on this now and say maybe save images, now this is JPG, so this will work. Okay, guys. So we have grabbed that, and I'm going to close out this now, and I kept it here called wallpapers. So we're going to cycle through all these 7 wallpapers, okay, with the extension with the file name as img12345. You remember we did this in the class. So the file name should not start with a capital letter, it should not start with a number, also it should not contain space in between, but it can end with a number, no problem, okay, and they are of the same type extension name, right? So what we do is I will close these two, and then we'll start from the beginning. All right, so let's say here we are, okay, and remember you're not supposed to see this, right, if you're starting afresh. So go to File, click on New Project, fine, select Empty Activity, click on Next. Now I'm going to call this, since I've used lots of lab for experimentation, I'll call this lab 404. Okay, 404 error. If you're a web developer, you should know about this error, okay? All right. Now, what I decided was, let's choose, initially we always used to choose Lollipop. Now we said, okay, fine, let's choose Marshmallow. So it's going to run on 94% of all the devices. It doesn't really matter, right? See, this is a pretty huge market if you are targeting audiences in that order. All right, so click on Finish. Finish, and we are done, okay? All right, so to ensure I'm not actually calling up the finished project, so I will close it now. No problem, no worries. Allow the Gradle scripts to build, okay? And then you'll be shown what now? Your folder directory, your project directory. So I'm getting it here, right? So what I need to do first is I need to add all my images under my drawables folder, okay? So I just open them up. It's under resources folder, and I got them here. So I'm going to go back now, okay? I open this wallpaper, right? I'm going to press Ctrl A, Ctrl C, okay? Now get back here. Remember we tried drag and drop previously, guys? Exactly. So you come back now here under this, right? Click on this, Ctrl V. Okay. So the question here is, which subfolder should I choose? Should I choose drawable or should I choose drawable version 24? All right. So if you watch, in the previous case, the first example, I chose drawable folder. Now I want it to, it's already pointing to drawable v24. So I'm going to leave it here and let's see what happens. Will it run? Obviously, yes. So you see here, okay, in the previous case, you have the option to refactor. But in this case, v24, there is no option to refactor, okay? So that is one of the advantage of, using v24, okay, directory. All right, so this is done. Now I need to first of all work on my UI. So I have kept this here, no problem, under my whatever, my Java file. I have kept it here. I kept the resources folder under my project directory. I'll get back here now, and this is what I have. So far we have used constraint layout, and what we always do to ensure we are on the same page, we always go here and make sure that we are not on the blueprint. And if we keep both blueprints and the design view together, it might occupy some space. We now leave it only on design view. And we wanted to show the system UI so that it will look as if, okay, fine, it's like an emulator. Fine. Now we try zooming it a bit. Remember, this was what I told you guys. This don't reside here. When you do this now, you see most times it will not be fitting properly on your screen, especially if you are running it on your Android phones. Okay, many of you encountered that in the course of the session or the tutorial. Okay, so because of that, let's keep it simple, and we have this text view. So two things you can do now, since I showed you, right, that you can actually modify from this attributes panel. All right, just double click on this hello world. You see it is here, right? Okay, so you can change it to something else, say wall, something like that, paper, application, okay, app changer, something like that. But for me, I'm okay with what? The working from the what? What do you call it? The code mode. So I'll get back here. You see that's actually reflected. I know how it's going to look like, right? So I'll keep it in split mode now. Now, first thing that I feel like doing is I don't want to work on the constraint layout, okay? And I also don't want to use linear layout. I want to use now relative layout in this case, okay? So I change this to relative layout. Fine. Now this is there, and then fine. Maybe I just want to use this because I don't want to, start wasting time adding another text view and stuff like that. I only need a text view and a button. That's it. Somehow I try to resize this so that I want the text to cover the entire screen, something like this. fine, but the text did not cover the entire screen, right? So what I need to do was what? Okay, let me change the size. So I say text size. All right, the text size, I think I chose 33 in the class, okay, something like that, and I'm using SP. Fine. Now this is okay. I need a color. I say text color. I will use text style. I make bold, and then maybe I go to, maybe I don't want to work on the color, guys. This is also looking cool, right? So I want to centralize it. It's called text alignment is equal to what? Center. Fine. So I'm done with this. What I need next is I need to grab a button. So go there and just grab your button, okay, and place it anywhere you feel like. Maybe I want to keep a little down or something like that. Fine. And then I try to resize, okay, and then again I resize. Fine. And here maybe I still resize a little more. Let's see. And somewhere now I need to change the text to say what do you call it? Click to change wallpaper. Click to change wallpaper, something like that. Fine. All right, now maybe I want to increase the size a little bit. Okay, so I say text size. You remember now by default the text size is 14 SP. Maybe I want to say, maybe I'll use 16. Let's see. If I say 15, 16 SP, that didn't change much, so maybe I'll use 20 in this case. Fine. All right, so since it's going to the next line, maybe I can keep it as 28 SP. It doesn't really matter. Okay, fine. Is it big? Fine, you can go and resize it. Okay, so if it's not showing that, that's why it's called the design view. You need to resize it in such a way that you'll be able to see it properly. And one thing that interests you is, you see, whenever you type anything in button, it changes it to caps lock. So you might want to reflect the same thing here. All right, so you choose what? Text all caps and set that attribute to what? True. That also has changed. Now you wanted something like that, it doesn't matter, you can keep it in a straight single straight line also, no worries. So we are done with this, and what I always tell you is try to just run the application, just run it. That will give you a feel like, okay, I'm doing something. Okay, so we run it and let's see how it's going to look like. And remember, we have added all our drawables folder, resources under the drawables, so that is fine. So now we need to start building this. Okay, all right. So you see, this is there, and when I click on this, nothing happens. And if you remember in the previous lab program which we did in the class, we actually use what we call event listener. Okay, so at the end of this tutorial, I will go and do a walkthrough on that one. Okay, so and the codes to both of them will be in the description after this video. Okay, I mean, as you're watching, you can get them from the description below. It will be on my GitHub page, no problem. I will still link the PDF version also, so you can take both of them and you compare. Okay, so in this case now I want to use an on-click event here. Okay, so I'll stop this now, then I will go back here. Remember guys, okay, this was from the previous history. Okay, so don't get confused. So if that is the case, you can actually wipe the history. Okay, so for now, what I need to do is, when you click this button, I want you to call an event. Okay, so I'll say on click, and you remember I told you this is deprecated. That doesn't mean it will not work. It means there's a better version that exists. So now what I want to do, I want to say set wallpaper. Okay, so once I do this now, it's gonna tell me, see, pay attention to this. Okay, notification bell, okay, notification icon. Now click outside again and click there again. This has changed from yellow, or what they call it, orange color, to what now? Red. So there is a problem here. You have to click on that, and don't suppress these guys. Okay, that's why I don't encourage you to be doing pressing Alt Enter most of the time. So you need to create this in the main activity. Okay, so it has come there. So but before that, you are supposed to map what? You are supposed to start mapping what now? Okay, the images, right? Okay, but before we do that, I will leave this set wallpaper method for now, and let's try creating some what? Button type. Okay, and try to maybe like work on this together. Okay, fine. Okay, so we need 3 main classes. Okay, 3 main classes will be required to know about. Okay, so what are the 3 classes? So the first class is my timer class. I need that. Why? We need to cycle through this wallpaper every what? 30 seconds. That would be like 30,000 milliseconds, right? Fine, 30,000 milliseconds. Okay. Now we need that, okay, obviously, and we need to cycle through the drawables folder or the drawables directory. So for that we need drawables class. Okay. So since it's a class, it starts with an uppercase letter, drawables. Okay. Now, and another thing we need is the wallpaper manager. So we have that, and it's called wallpaper manager. Okay, so capital M here, manager. Fine. Now, once this is done, okay, this will help us, to pull the images. Okay, and then we need to set this image using another method, which is called what? Set bitmap. So that is actually not a class, so I can say it's part of a method which we call what? Set, like that, bit, and it's inbuilt. So we are not going to implement it. We only just need to use it and pass the object of our wallpaper manager class into it. Okay, so set bit map. Now, once we do this, now it's going to ask us to go and modify. So fourth step, we now need to modify our what? Android.manifest folder. So we call it the manifest.xml file. So that means this will be under the Android stuff. We have to go and we'll do what now? Modify it. And once we modify it, it's going to prompt us again to wrap our codes in what? Try and catch. So why we have to do this? Okay, because just imagine, okay, it was not pointing to any image, right? Or the file name was invalid. It should not just crash the program, right? So you have to handle this exception. So if you look at this for now, let's open the manifest folder. Now, sorry, yes, manifest folder, you're going to see the manifest file. Permissions has not been added, okay? So pay attention to this. We will add the permissions in due course. Okay, so I minimize this. So what is my first step? Now, first step, I need what? The timer, right? Okay, so that means I'll say timer. And once you see timer is present in java.util package. So I'm going to unwrap this for now. So timer is not imported by default. Can you see that? Okay. Now you see here, once I do this now, if you press Alt Enter, it's going to tell you import the class. So it's imported now. Fine. So maybe create an object of that. You can call it my time. Okay. So I have created this object. Now I need what now? Drawables, right? Okay. So it's actually drawable. You can see it there. Okay. Now I can call it drawable only. Fine. So since I'm going to use it to pull lots of, you remember why we need this, guys? Most times we go and say find view by idr.id dot something, right? So we start mapping the individual IDs. Okay. So in this case now we want to use this drawable. Okay. And then now I will use my what? Wallpaper manager. So it's all there. Again, you see it's imported. Okay. So wallpaper manager. So I call it WP man. Okay. Fine. Now, one thing that interests me is, since you've seen that, right? So I need to cycle through these images, right? So you can start an initial counter to be what? 0. And when you reach the last one, you set it back to 0, the default one. So I will say it will be of an int type int. Now I can call it next. I can call it, sorry, image counter. Okay. So I would prefer to call it next img. Okay. Now I will set it to the first. Okay, let it point to the first image. So usually you say if you point to 0, like, it tends to be confusing. It doesn't matter. You can point it to any integer number, right? And 0 is also an integer. Fine. For clarity's sake, point it to the first image. Fine. Okay, so we are done till here. Now what do we do in here? Okay, now under this, now we're going to do what now? Initialize what? The counter object and create an instance of the wallpaper manager. So maybe you try to add comments, okay, but you know what I'm talking about. So you say it is called what? My time. Now it's going to be what? New what? Timer. Fine. Now this is done, and next is WP man. Okay, will be equal to wallpaper manager, fine, dot now. So you see here, so I need to talk to refer pointing to the context, right? Which context? We are talking about the main activity.java. So in the context of the application, we are going to use the a parameter, right? Which is this keyword, fine. So this keyword I'll be using to refer to this context. So the instance is created, and I think we are done with this. Now I will go back to my activity_main, and I'm going to call that what? Change wallpaper. Got it now? Fine. Call it change. Okay. So once I do this now, it says okay. You have just created a method, but you have not implemented it. So I'm going to create it in this. So I've come here now, and this is of type what? It's of public, it's of type void. It's not going to return anything. So here I'm going to call my what? Set wallpaper. Fine. Click on this, and it says create this method set wallpaper. Okay. Now I have clicked on that, and I'm here now. Now in here, what I will do, I will now need to what? Use the schedule method. Okay, which is I use the schedule method and now call my timer class. So that is my time, right? Which we call that. Fine. Now I will say dot schedule. Now if you look at this properly, you're going to get a couple of things here. Okay, so you hover over them. Okay, you're supposed to get some description about it, or you just select that and just press Ctrl P, okay, or Ctrl Q, I beg your pardon. But now let's just look at this. Okay, so I need a timer. Okay, look here, timer class. Okay, that means the task which I want to perform, and I need another one which is what? The delay, how long I want how long I want the image to stay before it changes, and I need another one, the period. So by default, if you want the image to change immediately, you're going to set the last parameter to 0. So let's choose this one, and now what I will need to do is I will say new what? Timer task. Okay, now inside here you see you'll be faced with a couple of red lines here. This is beginning of the run method. So inside here, okay, that means after that closing, okay, closing of my timer task, fine, I need to just add comma, and what I will do is I need to pass some parameters into them, right? Some arguments. So what am I going to pass now? The next argument is what? Tell how long I want this to stay, okay? That is the duration. So you can see there, okay? So the task is set wallpaper. That is done. Now please pay attention here. You see these ones are in bold, right? So let me undo this little bit. So I'm here in the task. So the task is set wallpaper. Move to the next one now. It says long delay and long period. So long delay is 30,000. And as you type it now, please remember you're not supposed to type this delay. Okay, you just start typing some number, it will come up. 30,000. And you're not supposed to put comma also in between. Fine. And the last one is period. So I'm going to put it as 2 seconds. Okay. So it will start changing after every 2 seconds. Now, if you say 2, remember you're talking of 2 milliseconds. But if you want it in 2 seconds, you have to say 2000. Fine. Okay, so this is done. Now you see the error is gone. But what will happen when you call this run method? I don't know what will happen, right? So I know that I'm supposed to what? Start cycling from the first image. So you put them in an if block. So you say if now initially it's going to point you to the next, to the first image, right? So that means that what is the value for that? 1. If the image is pointing me to the first, I'm talking about the first image, okay? So if this next image equals the first image, okay, now I'm supposed to do something here. Now to make the code readable, I will try to indent them like this. Fine. Okay, that's not what I meant. Something like this, okay? Now, so come inside here now. If I'm pointing to the next image, so I need to use my drawable, fine, and get the image. So you get this method called get resources, okay? So for that, so drawable would become what? Get resources, fine, dot what? Get drawable object, fine. Now you see here the int id will be there, right? So in this case now I'm referring to r dot, no longer id dot, so I'm going to get r dot get what? Drawable. No, not get drawable, r dot drawable, because that is where all the images are. Dot what? So the first image is called as image 1. Now you put semicolon. Now you observe carefully that this image is already here. It's added here. Okay, so maybe I'll drag this to this side. Okay, so you'll be seeing it properly. So what happens once this is done? Let the pointer point to the what? Next image, right? So it will point to the second image. Fine. So if it is not, you should perform another action, right? Else if, what will happen now? Next image, right, will be pointing to what now? Previous, right? Fine. The previous is what? 2. So what I will do, I need to perform some activity. Okay, so actually not an activity, fine, some action. So what am I going to do? I need to now move to the third one. So to not to waste time, you Control C, Control V. Fine. Okay, so this will now become 2, and the next one should point to 3. Same thing you're going to do. Control V, Control V. Okay, 1 minute. Control Z. So I think I didn't copy that properly. Okay, so once you put Control V here, okay, so after the third one, this is fine. So next you need an if condition. So because of that, I will copy from here again. Fine. Now paste it here. Next, paste there. Next, paste there. Next, paste there. Next. I think this will be all of what we have, but don't forget to change all this. Okay, so this points to the first image, so this has to point to the second image. This is what happens most times when you do copy and paste. So for now, maybe I'll focus on the images. For now, let me change all the images. Third one, fourth image, the fifth one, the fifth one, and ensure the file names are reflected there. The sixth, the seventh, okay, and let's say I just wanted maybe like the 8th image. It's not there. Okay, so you're going to get this red thing. Fine. Now this is the 7, and I'm done. So you go and modify all this now. Fine. Next image, yes, previous becomes that, and then I'm going to, this will start from previous. Okay, that is 3, and this will point to next. Again, this will become previous, and that will become next. This is previous, which is 5, and this is next. And in that order till we get to here. This is all 5, and the next should be 6. And here you got that. This is 6. And lastly, it will be 7. So what will happen here now? If you watch here, if this is 7, now this should point back to the original, which is 1. So if you watch, after this, this should have been else, right? So I'm going to comment this out and let's see this. So else, I don't need to test any other condition, right? Fine. So it has to point back to the previous image, and this is what we expected. Okay. Yes, so here I need the drawable, yes, object. So now I can actually say dot get bitmap. Okay, so that is actually not there. So this is telling you there's something you're supposed to do actually. So come back, come out here, okay, and use this method now. Now I can actually access it, right? Get bitmap. Okay, so I hope you got what happened now. So we created this bitmap image, okay, now, and we casted it to bitmap drawable. And now the object we have to use to assign this bitmap images. Okay, so now till here we now need to do what now? Set those images, right? Now what you do, what is that object called? Is called wallpaper manager. I need that now. So I will come down, I will say here WP man, okay, wallpaper manager dot what set bitmap. Now I need to pass this now into it now, because it says which one now I need to pass this object, right? So this bitmap object, I will say it is what IMG. You should be able to access it here. Okay, now if you notice here, it is giving us an error. So you go back there and it says first thing, two options are there now. First, you can set permission or you surround with try and catch. Okay, so you can do it in that order. Set permission. Now let's go back and see where is this permission set. It's set in Android manifest. So can you see the permission? Yes, this is the permission. It's set now. Okay, so this permission is done, but the error didn't go, right? So you come back here and it says, you know, what if you don't have a valid image, or say the image does not exist? I don't want to crash this application, so surround it with try and catch. So this, I didn't type it, guys. That's why it popped up like this and says, okay, surround it in try and catch method. Okay, if you watch clearly now, everything seems to be all right, fine. All the images seems to be there. Now we have to run this, and please listen. You see here, get drawables is deprecated, right? So will it run? Yes. Okay, so let's try and run this and see what happens. I'm going to run this now and we wait and see. Okay, so we are starting. So to ensure that we are on the same page, I'm going to open this. Which one is my first image? This. Okay, okay. So I will click on this to change wallpaper. I minimize that. So that is the first one. I said just 2 seconds. So this is supposed to be the next one. So let's wait. We have to wait for 30 seconds. Patiently wait. I hope you believe now that in the previous case, I reduced the time, right? So it was actually happening faster. Okay, 30 seconds. Okay, no. Change my D. Okay, sorry, I'm speaking Canada. Okay. Okay. Yeah, second one. So let's wait for the third one. Okay. Okay, and then the fourth one. Yeah, and this is the fifth one. Yeah, and this is the sixth one, and then this is the seventh one. So, and then it goes back to the first one. Okay, so you see it waited 30 seconds, and once it starts, it was changing every 2 seconds. You got the point? So on this note, you have successfully implemented the fourth lab program, guys. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and I hope there was no confusion.